Good afternoon, everyone. I'm certainly happy to be with you once again. And here I am today. We're going to continue our series on the 7 churches of Asia Minor. I think we've already dealt with the church of Ephesus and the church of Smyrna. Now today we're going to be talking a little bit about the church of Pergamos. And by the way, I'm Doctor of the Plain Truth, Pastor Cornelius Jackson, for those who haven't met me yet. But that's who I am, and I'm here to give you the plain truth according to the scriptures. Because what a lot of people don't understand, even people in the church, is that people don't quite have a good understanding of the Bible. And I believe that before you start teaching smaller things in the Bible, people have to have a broad view of what the Bible is all about. Once they get a broad view of what the Bible is all about, then they'll have a better understanding and have an opportunity to live a better life for Christ than what they're living now. And this is why I'm not so against sermons, but a sermon is good when people understand the totality of the Bible. When they have a good understanding of what the Bible is all about, then you can go into the intricate things concerning the Bible, of how to live and how to please God and all of those things. But they have to have an overall understanding of what the Bible is about first. And that may take some while to teach people what the Bible is all about, why Jesus came, and all the smaller nuts and bolts that go along with understanding the full totality of the Bible. But today, right quickly, we're going to look at the church of Pergamos. Now, this is what the Lord said unto the church of Pergamos. He told them, he said, but I have a few things against you. What did he have against them? He said, because you have them there that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel. In other words, this kind of spirit in the church is the kind of spirit that brings the church or the world into the church. This is what the spirit of Balaam was. See, Balaam taught Balak how to take advantage of the children of Israel because he didn't have the power to be able to curse Israel. You see, Balak hired Balaam because Israel was coming through his land. He hired Balaam to curse Israel to keep them from coming through his land. So he paid Balaam money. See, this is the bad thing about preachers and money. He paid Balaam money to go out and curse Israel, and he tried his best to curse them, to get hold of that silver and gold that Balak was going to pay him. So what did he do? He went out and tried to curse them, and God warned him. Leave these people alone. You can't curse. Don't bother them. You can't curse what I have blessed. So he kept going back and forth, and Balak kept offering him money and everything, but he finally told him, there's nothing I can do. But then Balaam came up with this idea. He said, since I can't curse them, I'm going to tell you what to do to get the best of them. So what he said was, mingle with them. Let them come on through your land, be nice to them, and then intermingle with them. Because if you intermingle with them, sooner or later, you begin to take them over. You begin to subvert their God for your gods. Let your women marry their men. Let the men marry their women, and the women marry their men from both tribes. That way, eventually, your God will take over their God because you will be a bigger influence on them than they are of you. That's what it's saying. And this is the same problem with what the Lord was saying about them. He said, you're letting the church in the world, or you're letting the world in the church. And eventually it's going to take over the church. Because in that same verse, he said also you have them there who hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which things I hate, is what the Lord said. I hate their deeds. Well, what was the deeds of the Nicolaitans? Well, the deeds of the Nicolaitans was this. This was some part of their deed. They had this doctrine that you can go out and experience sin. They said the only way you know what sin really is to experience it, but the sin itself won't touch your spirit. Don't we have some of that kind of teaching in the church today? Some people feel like they can do whatever they want to as long as they felt like God has forgiven them, so they think they can continue in sin. That's what the Bible said. They're continuing in sin. And Paul made a statement, shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. Well, this is what the doctrine of the Nicolaitans and the doctrine of Balaam was all about. That was to influence Israel to do things that was contrary to the commandments which God has given them. Don't we have that in the church today? Don't we have people living all kinds of crazy lives and in their carnal minds think that they're all right in the sight of God? I mean, what will happen is that when you allow this kind of stuff to come into the church, it lulls you to sleep. And before you know it, you're in worse shape than they are. You're doing the same thing that they're doing. That's why I believe in 1 Thessalonians 4:6, it tells us, we should not sleep as others do. It said, let us be awake. It said, let us watch and let us be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night. And they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But ye who are of the day, be sober. That's what it said. And put on what? The breastplate of love and faith. And for a helmet, the hope of salvation. That you may understand that we got to keep watching and keep vigilant, that we won't be led asleep and be brought in to the ways of the world, and the world coming into the church and subverting the things that God has designed for the church to do and the way the church should live. And this is what the doctrine of Balaam was all about. And God was upset with him. Don't you think, if he was upset with them then, don't you think he's upset with us now as we look in the church and see all the junk going on in the church? Don't you think God is upset because we have let the world come in the church and take control? We copy everything that the world does. We sing like they do, dance like they do. We're doing everything that the world is doing, taking on some of the objects and the things that the world do, think we're pleasing God at the same time. That's the doctrine of Balaam. That's why we have to be watchful. You got to keep a vigilant eye when it comes to spiritual things. But 2 Corinthians 4:4 said, the God of this world has blinded the minds of those that believe not. Their minds are blind. But we who are of the day, the scripture said, let us not sleep. Let us stay vigilant. Let us keep on watching, that when this stuff starts to try to come into the church, we'll have enough spiritual understanding and enough spiritual fortitude and enough spiritual insight to see that the devil is trying to make inroads into the church. But today, we don't have men and women watching with vigilant spiritual eyes. They see just like the world sees. And that's why the church is getting in such bad shape, because people are not looking at things from a spiritual point of view, so the world has sneaked into the church. So you have to watch. You got to be watchful that you don't allow yourself to be lulled to sleep and influenced to do things you know you have no business doing. Amen. Well, that's the church of Pergamos. So I'm going to give you that excerpt on that. But the next church we're going to talk about is the church of Thyatira. So tune in for that one. That will be the next message. God bless you.